Here we go!
Get that last no-scope kill and hit pause. It's time for the video game podcast where the Konami code is alive and well. The console wars don't exist. Rings are just as valuable as coins. Pots are not safe from swords. Giant robots kick ass. And fireballs are a perfectly acceptable weapon in a fist fight. That's right, it's time for the Super Gamer Bros Podcast Ultra Hyper Alpha Super EX Double Impact Plus A Live. Settle in and let's get to gaming.
Hey everyone, it's Thursday, which means it's time for Super Gamer Bros right here on Kaiju Labs Media. Welcome to the show.
You threaten people very well.
I was listening to thinking, I had so much fun writing that. And Jessica had so much fun voicing it. Like, she just knocked our intro out.
Yeah, you always get hype. It's you got to have the hype during the intro.
So, I'm one of your gamers. I'm Slayton on Xbox. As usual, it's my cohort in crime.
Cynic, hello. Hens are on pretty much everything else except for the Switch.
And then, the mistress of gaming mayhem. I'm trying to point there.
You can do this number. Come on. We can do the sequel to Chicken Attack now.
No.
I am Pocky FPTV, or sorry, not FPTV, KLM on most of my streaming services, and Pocky V on stream, Twitch.
And
Twitch,
our new edition.
And I am Grizzly253 Ninja on Xbox and El Guapo Especial on PlayStation.
Yeah,
Let's go with one or two L's.
Especial.
When you
Sounds like
added
a taco that's gonna give me like indigestion.
yeah, when you added me on the on the PS4, I opened it up and I was like, okay, Sean should be in here, and I was like, El Guapo, okay. Not what I
I'm
expected.
actually going to change my Grizzly253 Ninja to El Guapo, so it's just one thing.
Dude, that's funny.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting week. We decided we're gonna get down and dirty today. So be prepared
Which
for
always
arguments.
makes Pocky happy.
She's all down there like, yes.
Time to get down to my level of bullshit.
Yeah, the face is already turning red. It's the blood starting to pump, starting to boil.
I'm excited.
So we're gonna talk about gamers' toxicity today. And it's nothing new. I understand that, Pocky. But it's coming to a new level of being in the forefront these days. That is taking things.
And we haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah. And it's to the point now where it's making all of us look bad. Because I used to love watching Smash Brother Rage Quit videos. Because there is nothing funnier than a grown man destroying his entire system because Jigglypuff kicked his ass. Like, that shit is funny. But it's not anymore. Like, I've started watching them again. I'm like, these are really sad. People rage quitting Street Fighter. These people who are trash talking gamer girls, kids, adults. And it's in this weird competitive market that it seems to be really isolated to. But this week hit ahead with the man screaming at his infant live in front of the entire world. Like, as a parent, I couldn't fathom doing that. I could not even imagine. But also, I'm not a competitive gamer. I am a very casual gamer. But even so, you have to be able to draw a line. So today we're going to talk about the ragers, the toxic gamers, and things like that. Our theories on how we got to this point, and is there a possible way to fix this? So, if you haven't watched the video, go to our Facebook page, Kaiju Labs Media. I did a video about it, and it's, I don't know if I linked it there or not, but it's also all over the internet this week. So just Daniel's a toddler. You'll find it. And I should have realized things were going downhill because I've meant to do a video about it. I think I did a couple days later, but I read this Kotaku article about the fighting esports community trying to create some new standards for hygiene, etiquette, the way you trash talk people to make it not quite so toxic. and the entire community rallied against it. And I was like, why? If it makes you better and it makes you more approachable by people who just want to watch or outsiders, especially when it comes to hygiene, why are you fighting against this?
Yeah, there's no reason to get mad at just hey guys, don't be a jerk and wash yourselves. What? That it doesn't make any sense.
I understand trash talking can be part of playing games like this, but when you're with your friends like us, like I could trash talk Cynic and Shiley till I'm blue in the face. Pocket and I could trash talk each other. She could throw down with the best of them, but we know each other and we know it's not in ill will. But in these competitive circuits, it's actually in ill will. And before we go on, I think Pocky can contribute to how this is really bad.
Okay, so do we want to go with what they've done to people outside the media, or, outside the genre, or inside the genre? Because either way, it's all bullshit. Within the last year alone, we've had gamers get upset that someone reported that CD Projekt Red had a moment in the game that caused an epileptic seizure. It was a red and red flashing. There's been a lot of controversy because also they put a seizure warning in the game, but they put it in the EULA, which is the first line of the EULA even says you don't read EULAs. They actually bombarded her apartment with red and white flashes through her windows to cause her to have a seizure, because in the article she admits to being easily susceptible to seizures. So they were trying to openly kill a person with seizures. Go our team. That's not including part of the CD Projekt Red, we're the company itself, we won't go into that. But also the fandom, The Last of Us Part 2 threatened multiple voice actors and actresses because they had to portray the character of a female who killed a character who died shittily, but he was a shitty character anyway, so he died. So
tell me about this tournament, the POG tournament.
The tournament? Okay, no. Okay, PogChamp. You're thinking Pogs.
Okay, pause. I was thinking Pogs.
I immediately thought of Pogs, which
right.
I
PogChamp
mean,
is the guy who goes.
You got to be 30 plus to think of Pogs when you hear that, right? So I need context.
So if you've watched streams, you've seen a guy an emo go, a guy doing that. It's pretty famous. It's called PogChamp because I forgot what his character's name was, but that's what they call it. So Twitch, he supported the January 6th event. We'll call it that because we don't want to get into politics, but what happened January 6th? He said it was a good thing, but they didn't go far enough. So that was your champion. And Twitch pays this guy to use his image as an emote. They immediately canceled the contract. So what was Twitch's brilliant idea? They're going to use other streamers as the PogChamp, and for 24 hours, you are the PogChamp. They're doing this with their big streamers. They did it with an open, gender non-binary, queer, black male, assigned male at birth, as their first subject. This person got so many death threats, rape allegations of attempts of rape attached to it, that he quit he's quitting for a month so he can get the press off of him. What did Twitch do to help this? Absolutely nothing. They had no moderators, and everyone who's been part of the thing don't have permabans. Twitch has no safeguards at all.
This is weird.
The system we're on has no safeguards.
Yeah, I think they try to mitigate that by saying, oh yeah, the personal streamers have their own, have their own moderators, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't fix an overall problem of someone who represents their company, who represents Twitch themselves, because the moderators and people who serve bans and do 24-hour bans and things like that for people who don't follow the rules within certain streams, I mean, they serve the streamer, they're not serving Twitch. And so Twitch kind of just puts their hands up at this point and just goes, hey guys, like, we're just the platform, go do your thing,
which I understand.
I mean, you get it from a business standpoint, but eventually there's got to be some sort of consequence, which, I mean, as far as I know, hasn't this guy who we're talking about the video? This was what started this whole conversation. This guy screaming at the toddler. He was banned, wasn't he? Or did he delete it? Or did he delete everything? What did they do for him?
He shut everything down.
He did it all himself.
Well, he's also dealing with CPS right now. Someone figured out where he lived, and they got and reported him. CPS is now dealing with him and the child.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, everything I just reported was within the first year. I haven't even got to the woman who was winning a Street Fighter V tournament and got harassed so badly she left, and she was supposed to be at the finals.
Oh wow.
Well, I want to get to maybe a behind the scenes thing because we have a mini rager of our own. I didn't realize it was like that till last week. If you watched our game stream, one of us just disappeared and we didn't know. So I'm going to put this.
Mind you, let's put a disclaimer there that this wasn't a violent raging episode.
No.
Okay.
Thank you for having my back, Cynic. Like,
That's what I say.
Yeah, Shaquille, you did the right thing. You were like, I'm not having fun. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I leave. You didn't tell anybody ahead of time, but afterwards you did.
No, well, he did.
Which is the proper way.
There was warning. Hey, this question. I'm sorry. I was supposed to give this to Shy afterward.
So I want to go to Shyleek as someone who gets really involved, and I've heard you talk about how mad you get, and I've seen and heard how mad you get because I'll be talking to Becky, and I will hear you say the craziest shit in the background. Like I'm like, what does he do? She's like, oh, he's playing COD. What is it that makes you not as, I'm not saying you're as bad as anybody else, but what drives that rage, quote unquote, in you?
I think for me, I'm gonna start with one. It's being competitive. Other than gaming, I've done competitive sports in my life. I've done competitive mixed martial arts, and it's just like that when you do anything competitive, you have a sense of pride. So the other person who's going against you is to test your pride. Your pride is, I'm better than you. The other guy is like, no, you're not. So it's like, okay, let's prove who's better. Which is, when you think about it, it's a very simplistic thing, and it's like, okay, we can work with that. But
it's very Vegeta of you.
Yeah, but once you get into a deeper thing, it's like, okay, let's use I'll use COD for example, right? I feel like I'm pretty proficient at COD, right? I'm pretty proficient. But then when I'm playing COD, I have guys who are want to say something?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm good.
Oh,
I wasn't sure if that was on my end or your guys' end. It's my end.
I feel like I'm pretty proficient at COD, but then when I'm playing and I feel like the game itself has like failed me, like so let's say some mechanic where it's like hitbox jumping. It's basically when you jump in the air and when you're shooting, it throws off the bullet. It throws with the bullet spray of the gun, and it's not supposed to be something that's part of the game. It's people. What's the word I'm looking for?
To figure it out.
Yeah, like exploiting. Yeah, like exploiting the game.
Yeah,
so
exploitation. Yeah.
Then you have a guy who's like, "Oh yeah, you didn't kill me," and I'm just like, "I didn't kill you because you just did an exploit on the game, not because I was sucking." Like, that's just how it is. Or for example, quick scoping. You have quick scoping has been in COD since the beginning of time, right? That's without a doubt. Everyone hates a quick scoper, but it took talent. Now it's just like if I'm shooting a guy and his health is almost down, he can just zoom in, kill me one shot with zero flinch, and I just die. And it's just like, now you're making the game to where it's just like I'm losing due to exploits of the game, not to just raw talent. Like if you play Mortal Kombat, which I think Cynic is the one that plays Mortal Kombat. We all know it's like,
I'm a big fighting game fan, so I'll weigh in a little later.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what it's like for when someone does a health combo, chaining multiple combos, and then there's the guy who uses the bicycle kick over and over and over and over until you're dead. There's a difference. You know?
There's a difference.
And
the difference being the guy who uses the bicycle over and over and over again, maybe there's a little lag or something like that, and something throws you off, something gets in your way of being better than them, which you are.
You're like, dude, that's not cool.
That can be irritating.
Yeah, and that's
so Shyleek. Can you just play for fun?
I do it all the time. I mean, I played, but it's the insight going in. Like I'm not gonna if I play, for example, the last time we played, like I used the reference earlier when we played Halo. I knew going into Halo because I
Yeah.
haven't played it since the dawn of time that I was gonna get my ass kicked. So
Yeah.
I was like, my hopes weren't too high. Now when we were winning and like I started understanding mechanics, I got a little bit more competitive. But even then, I was just like, okay, like I can accept that. But when we're playing Battlefront, which is a game that I think we all love, and we're doing something competitive, and I know I'm supposed to be at the point where I can do this. It kind of sucks when you have a guy who's one-shotting you, and you're just like, I just ran across the whole entire map for you to one-shot me on multiple occasions.
That's part of the game, though, bro.
Well,
They were there with us.
I should have warned you. I didn't love that game yet. I do like it. I think it's fun, but that was maybe the third or fourth time I played it, and so
Yeah, the
I
two
should
of
have
us are
warned.
way behind
I
you.
should have brought your expectations. Just like Halo, when we played Halo, I was like, dude, I haven't played Halo in forever. I'm probably gonna get smashed.
And that was my fault. And I admitted to, I think it was Gavin or you. It was my fault because I forgot that in that game specifically, you're playing with people who've been playing since the beginning.
Who've been playing
so
forever.
Maxed out everything, and we were just using bare bones, like just started characters. So I didn't go into the right frame rate. So I was
it's amazing that we won at all because we did win a couple matches.
Exactly. So I was just like, after that, I mean, I calmed down fairly quickly because I was like, wait a minute, I totally forgot that. I mean, I basically set myself up for failure. So that was a unique situation of Rage Quit. I was like how Pocky said, I was just like, I took myself away because I was like, I'm getting too mad, and I just didn't want to. It wasn't enjoyable, or I couldn't feel like I can enjoy my experience with you guys anymore. So I'm just like, okay, goodbye. Now, did I do?
Okay, so question.
And yeah, to clarify, you weren't screaming and you weren't going crazy, and it was nothing like that. You just you were like, man, this pisses me off, man. And
I was
we're
trying
like,
to
yep.
spawn on him.
I was like, well,
So I can help him?
and you're like, it's the same dude. He keeps killing, and we were just like, all right, well, let's go get him, And all of a sudden, it was just like, man, I'm pissed off. I can't. I can't. I'm really sorry, guys. And you were like, bye, and that was it.
That actually leads into something that I wanted to bring up, and it's kind of go part of what we were talking about earlier. Is like we have like theories. My theory on why it's a lot more toxic is there's two things. I believe the people who play the games have always been that toxic. It's just we're in an age where we're streaming and stuff like that. Because like any competitive gamer I've ever met, there's a little bit of toxicity to you. But it's like now when you're streaming or you can talk online, it's like it's like it's more upfront and everyone can see it. But it's like since I've been gaming, definitely competitive like COD. It's like this has always been a thing. It hasn't really got worse or got better. It's always been that level.
I disagree. It's gotten worse.
And if it has gotten worse, it's because over time games became more competitive. Like COD now is a strictly competitive game. It used to be when it first came out, it was all casual, or you have your competitive guys. Now it's like ultra competitive. Like they built the game like to be specific, so the audience knows.
This leads into my theory.
Yeah, the Black.
And I want to know what Pocky thinks of this theory. So, Cynic and I are older, obviously. Pocky's with us. We grew up in the days, I can't speak for them, with arcades, and you knew the people around you.
Not that old.
Bitch, shut up. You knew the people around you. You had LAN parties. You knew the people you're playing with. It was a smaller community that did that, and it was all mostly lighthearted. There were times, and I know when that shift happened, because I kind of pissed somebody off. I'm just going to tell you the story. I was at a convention, and this guy ran a Games from Japan room, and my friend had a Saturn from Japan, and we played all the games he brought, like no one's ever touched these games before. So he put in Super Puzzle Fighter Turbo, and I beat him every time. So he rage quit and put in some other fighting game that Eric was the champion.
No. At least he played you in Puzzle Fighter, by the way. At least he got the chance to play.
That's on our list of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So he put in a different fighting game, and Eric stood up, schooled him twice. He shut the panel down. This was at that point when gaming was coming into the next-gen systems with the PlayStation and stuff, and it started to pick up steam. Now we're in a day and age where games and esports, which I can't fathom calling them esports, and I'll get to, is now a major thing. Streaming is a major thing. It's an industry and it's a business, but it's still kind of in its toddler stages. It's not its infancy stages, it's in its toddler stages. But unlike every other professional sport in the world that's been around forever, gaming and esports didn't develop a system of etiquette and regulations and guidelines. It was kind of the Wild West frontier because everyone was trying to jump into it. Like the NFL and NBA and all those other sports groups have had generations of ways to figure out their system.
Well,
and the other big difference.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The other big difference is those are very physical sports. Those people are trained to be in a different way. Video gaming isn't a physical sport. It's more of an emotional, psychological sport. And that's far more dangerous, I think, than the physical side of things when there's no guidelines. And you get people who maybe are stuck at a different time and don't think gaming should be for everybody, being allowed to come to the forefront, like with the people who keep threatening everyone that Pocky brought up earlier. There's no guidelines for that. There's no systems in place to help them with that, to deal with that, or to teach them not to do that. It was, this is big, let's make it as smart as we can. Let's just let it, what happens, happens. Well, I have seen 2 female esport gamers in my life. And we have watched esports, and we have been to esports, and I've seen 2. And I watched one school a bunch of people on StarCraft, and they just rage quit and walked out. I don't think we should call it esports because, 1, it's not a sport. And 2, there really should be some guidelines and development and some things that there support them so they know this isn't how I should act. And if you're going to act that way, this is not for you.
Well, there's also, you bring up a good point in that it's kind of in its infancy. But the other thing is that we have this whole new thing in gaming and internet gaming that is kind of being tested on a whole new generation. Like, we're the first generation ever, period, that has tried gaming on the internet. It's a whole new thing that has not existed until our lifetimes. And we haven't had, a lot of things you pick up in how you act from your parents. You learn respect, you learn how to treat people. You have a good base from your parents if you have good parents, right? So we have not, the last generation, my parents didn't have internet gaming. They didn't have etiquette on how to treat people that you've never seen but that you're competing against. They have not had the chance to. We're the first generation that has to raise our kids and say, hey, you know how you treat this person to their face, right? And if you're playing a game to their face, pretend you're still in their face, treat them with respect. When you see a woman online, it's just not some girly name, and you get to treat her like crap for whatever reason. Pretend she's a woman that's standing there, gaming beside you. She deserves your respect like anybody does. We haven't had parents to raise us, to teach us etiquette. Now, if it might be, since we don't have a baseline at this point, the company's kind of job to regulate, to punish people based on ban people or whatever based on their behavior. I think it may be, but I think it's up to our generation now, who's raising kids now, to be able to recognize problems that do arise with gaming. Like, I'll be perfectly honest, I've been real pissed off at fighting games before, and I never get on the mic and scream at everybody. I'm actually very hard-headed, and I've never rage quitted once, ever. But man, have I screamed at something if I'm in a bad mood. Or I think it was a long time ago when I was first dating Allie, and you have a hard time communicating, you have a bad night, and man, when something goes wrong and you don't win, then you just like have to scream out, you know. And it's not like I did it to anybody's face. I'm usually alone when I'm playing fighting games competitively because distractions, I try to keep them. I want to win, and the less distractions, the better. If I want to win. So if she's upstairs sleeping, all of a sudden she gets woken up like, oh my god, and I'm like, what? Well, you know, we had a bad night. And it was your fault anyway, so go away. You know, and so I think it's just this. There's definitely a competitive side to me if I'm good at something, and if you're not winning when you know you should be winning, like that sucks. You're supposed to be having a good night and enjoying yourself and stuff like that. I think that's a big part of it, and I think it's like my sister recently, her son was getting really angry at a game. I think it was Mario. Was fighting a boss, couldn't beat it, got really angry, and my sister had to go, okay, hey, like you gotta calm down, let's take a break, let's do something else. And she actually reached out to me and said, hey Nick, do you ever get mad at games? And I'm like, yeah, do I ever get mad?
Let me introduce you to Dark Souls.
Boulder. Before I go to Pocky,
let's introduce you to Dark Souls. Let's have you play Mortal Kombat online at a high level.
Hero died twice.
Here is my problem with all of this.
So I had to tell her how to regulate that and how it feels from my point of view to get angry at something and how to calm down. Because up to this point, we've never had that, but now she has to teach her young one about that. Now, so I think it's definitely more visible the more streamers that we have, and I think people have a hard time communicating in the first place, especially when there aren't people in front of their face. It's very easy to get angry while things are impersonal.
I don't mean to laugh, but I'm watching our Plex Storm stream for chats. And the ad is some woman fingering herself. So, as you're talking about raging, anyways.
Huh. Yeah, I
know our Plex Storm guys.
I temporarily pause my Plex Storm only because they
it's
don't
paused.
Very good
but I'm watching our chat. And
no, as in I've stopped streaming at Plex Storm for a short time until they can fix some of their admin problems.
Yeah, they're having some problems. I'm debating whether or not I want to continue it. But anyways, before I go to talking about my theory,
go ahead and send that link over
your theory.
My theory about how we got to this point, but my problem with all of this is games are meant to be enjoyed as an experience, whether you win or lose. And if you're only in it to win, you're always going to lose. That's the way I look at it. It's not, your life doesn't come to an end if you lose at Zelda. You just start again.
You're also what's called a mature adult. So
you're also
don't say that.
Also,
nobody needs to know.
You're mature also, enough.
You're also, Gavin, and I don't mean this badly because I'm also one. You're what they call a casual, fun time gamer. You are not a ninja. You are not a Markiplier. You are not. This is what you feel is your job in life. You are not. If you're first, you're last. You are not Dale's Day at night. Because
if that's the way you want to be, then you shouldn't be playing. There will always be somebody better than you.
But I mean, you do. But that's why they have MOBAs. That's why they have fighting game. That's why they have fighting game tournaments. That's why they have Overwatch. That's why they have League of Legends.
We used to have fighting game tournaments at local conventions, local comic stores, where everyone was nice and put together. Yeah, it's not until it started becoming a business that it started becoming more bloodthirsty.
No. You missed a part. What really has caused this is when you were at a arcade, if you called someone a really inappropriate phrase, if I dropped the N-word on a black man, you would get punched in the face. Yeah. If Nick calls somebody a really, really inappropriate things on the internet, then he gets muted. And a lot of these guys, if you quit because you're too toxic, they look at it as they won. It's they won because they couldn't beat you at the game, but they beat you at life, and they win. Like, how many of these people, when you watch them, they're like, fucking noob, quit. Couldn't handle, if you can't handle the heat, you guys should leave, blah, blah, blah.
I like how you said that like Hank Hill.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's because they are. They're all just a bunch of infidelity.
So, your thoughts on my theory about how it this has evolved to this point.
I think you are the person who's genuinely shocked that there's police brutality because people started filming it. There has always been police brutality. It just got filmed.
I've never had that problem. I understand.
I know what Pocky's talking about. She's talking about. It's the same thing my dad said to me. It's the problem. There's problems like this that's always been there, but it's never actually put to like shut down until everyone sees it.
Now everybody has a little
tell
camera.
Me it has always been there. I think Pocky and I are probably the only ones who have had access to every game system since the very original Atari and those black and orange screen computers.
Those didn't have internet connections.
Yeah,
they did have internet connections, but they did have competitive games. We had competitive games in arcades. We had competitive games put together at local comic book shops and things like that. We've been there since the beginning.
Yeah,
we've seen how it's come.
And there's I had a kid.
Yeah, but look at
a long time ago. I played Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and I was just hanging out, and a kid came and wasted. I think it had to be at least $2 or $3. He went and got quarters and came back to me, and then would try to beat me, and eventually he didn't have any left, and he cried and left at the end, and like that. I mean. That's rage. That's rage quit. That's pure.
No, that's
sadness.
not rage quitting. That's a spoiled child.
That's genuine sadness right there.
This is I think the only one flaw it is to your complex theory, my guy, is that
no, I'm not complex.
Look at where you're putting.
We're being generous.
Right? You're placing yourself in like-minded, like personality groups. We're talking about a worldwide thing. Like it's a saying that we have in the Army. It's like. You think because you go to the Army, people are gonna be less shitty? No, people are still gonna be shitty.
There's still there are people here still. That's
exactly. So same thing with gaming. It's like, yeah, you put yourself in a situation where you're with like-minded, like-hearted people. So it's like, yeah, they're gonna act like you. But when you play against other, like for example, have you ever if you are a Patriots fan and you go to New York, all right, because you're talking about the how sports do it, they still can't stop it. They're gonna scream, talk shit. They're gonna do stuff like you can't stop human nature from doing what it does. Like just like you can't stop shitty people from being shitty. Like there's games where I play like use PlayStation. I'm a new PlayStation guy, right? I just started playing PlayStation. There's games that are so toxic. I'm just like, this dude just threw racial slurs the whole game, and I'm like, I don't even want to play. And then the next lobby, it's like, bro, you killed me. That was a great shot. And I'm just like. I wish you were like that. I wish you were that same lobby as last time. Like it's a mix of different people, and I could have got a guy who was from Texas, and then got a guy who was from Boston. Like it's just like you can't. It's all in the air. People from all around the world.
I would say that certain games do draw in certain personality types, so others can be more toxic than others, or it draws in a certain amount, and some become toxic and push the rest of them away, and so that's what's left. But that's not every game. That's not every community.
That is every community.
The problem.
There are people who professionally troll Minecraft servers to blow them up.
Yeah, you can't say that
it's not every. It is literally every game. The gaming industry has fostered this toxic culture.
It hasn't fostered it, but it has allowed it. And I would say that unfortunately, when you see raging gamers and raging stuff, you see stuff like that on YouTube and Twitch, and people clip all that stuff all the time. And it's because sometimes that stuff is really funny to watch, and it's entertaining to us. Just to my core as a person, just there's something about someone getting angry and destroying their own controller, or just getting an angry person getting beat, and they're an angry person, they got their comeuppance, screw them, like there's something about me that says justice has been done, karma has come around, and this angry jerk just got beat or whatever, and so it's super popular, and I mean that kind of thing makes money when you get that many views. And so unfortunately, I think there hasn't been much incentive for people to kind of put a lid on it. But
I said, they are fostered it, because anytime you hear about these rage quitters. They talk about the game. They make sure the game is in the press. In the gaming industry as a whole, they don't care what the game is about. You could have a horrible plane crash, and the only item to survive would be like, "Oh my god, we died." Oh wait, but we lost you there for a second.
He rage quit this show.
Hey, there have been nights. But like the only thing you survive would be like a copy of like Grand Theft Auto 5 and like GTA. Like Rockstar would promote the fuck that game was the one thing that survived.
But me, I'm a big on you get what you get. I mean, I remember playing 360, and there was a thing in your profile that literally gave your personality. I think it was pro, underground, and then a family or something like that. And it's like since the beginning of time, I remember like you play certain things. Like if you, for example, Cynic, he plays Mortal Kombat. That's a 1v1 game. So it's like like it's like two people going to each other to beat each other. You're more likely to have toxicity in that than what's that one game that you love, Gavin? Animal Crossing.
Plants vs. Zombies,
it's pretty
maybe.
hard to turn Animal Crossing toxic. Look at the environment of the game.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
You
Oh god!
chose,
The fact
you
that
don't chose the wrong game.
Gavin went, "Oh, I'm sorry. No, you get to be wrong about this one."
That's
Someone
one of the most toxic communities. Just so you know.
Well,
Yeah,
I would say like there's also a big like let's say when I started playing Mortal Kombat online on a more regular basis, it was when Mortal Kombat 9 came out, and Street Fighter 4 had come out a little bit before that. And I rarely got an angry message from Street Fighter 4. It was so very rare, and I played the hell out of Street Fighter 4 for like the 10 years it was out and the 20 updates it had. I played it. I'm exaggerating, but played it for a long time. As soon as Mortal Kombat 9 came out, I started getting inbox after inbox, message after message of "you suck" and "that combo is broken" and "this game is broken" and "you got lucky," and like just it's so hilarious. Like I would get on Mortal Kombat and at least get 3 or 4 messages a night, compared to Street Fighter 4 where I would rarely get a message, and usually it was like, "Hey, GG's for Street Fighter 4," and I think the difference is inherently like back when these games first came out. Mortal Kombat was popular because of the blood and gore. Street Fighter was popular because it was a great fighting game, and I would say that mentality kind of stuck along. And when you get to the internet age, a lot of those people who just love the blood and gore play into Mortal Kombat get just wrecked because they're the kind of people that play a game just for the blood and gore. and therefore you have unstable people send you a ton of messages. And then Street Fighter, I rarely got any because it was just people playing fighting games. And you still have people call you trash. The community is like, especially now that Street Fighter 5 is the most popular Street Fighter up to this point. It has a lot of sales. I wouldn't say up to that point. I would say the competitive community has more eyes on it than it ever has. And so therefore there are plenty of people who you see rage quit or, get angry and stuff like that. But when you sit back and you actually play the game, you interact with the community, I would say I get a lot less messages from Street Fighter just because that community is inherently less toxic. And there are some games that
and it's probably
it attracts less toxicity.
I like to add, it's probably also less American because
yes.
I know a lot of people over the pond play that game more than Americans than Mortal Kombat. So yes. I mean, you gotta look at that as well. You gotta look at that as well. There's a huge problem with respect when it comes to American gamers. That's a huge problem.
And the other thing is the industry as a whole has, as it was said, has no interest in regulating any of this. And it's mostly because they're afraid to piss somebody off. They're afraid to lose a customer. The reason Evo will probably never implicate the better hygiene and no harassment rules is because Evo itself would probably be afraid of losing the handful of people that might actually take up the threat of not showing up.
Well,
I mean, the only fan
Evo's kind of dead, isn't it? Did Evo come back and I not get the message?
No, Evo still has. They what they did is they improved upon their what games are considered like for their standard, because it used to be like they had like these 5 games. It was like this is the only games they play, but they've opened it like wide open now.
They've opened it in recent years, but I think it was just last year during some of the online only stuff where one of the there was a lot of people who came out because they had taken advantage of their younger female fans, underage fans, and it came out. It was a really bad look, and Evo basically got shut down. They didn't have Evo that year, I don't think.
They did. They just didn't have Evo. Evo didn't have the Smash tournament that year because over half the major Smash players just got put on the child predator list.
Yeah, a lot of the Smash players, exactly. That was the one they had a problem with. But I think it was like the main Evo organizer got popped too, and so if they had, you might be right. I can't remember about the specifics of the tournament, but I know that Evo basically stopped after that. They said they didn't know if they were going to do anymore. So I haven't heard. So if they're kind of
to me, that's a real life issue. Like that's not a community issue. Because it's sitting with football. You got people. Everyone watches football or some type of major sport, but it's just like when you have we have a running back, which has happened in real life. It happened multiple times. Ray Rice, when he got caught beating someone, it's like, oh no, domestic violence, and everyone's like, what are you gonna do, football? And they're just like, nothing. Like
we give a bunch of money to women's charity, and then and by the way, Cynic, what happened was they're temporarily they did cancel last year's Evo, but it was because they couldn't get any of the Asian players to come to the other side because China, Japan, and Taiwan, and Vietnam and Korea are all shut down, and they can't. And Europe is on shutdown.
Well, they decided to do it all online anyway, but I'd have to go look it up because I remember that story coming out, and I just didn't pay attention to Evo last year at all. After that, I thought it was gone, and so I didn't pay attention.
They've already announced they're announcing more virtual tournaments on that one. It's going to be all virtual because again, Asia shut down and Europe shut down, so nobody's like, well, there's over half the Tekken crew, there's almost all of Street Fighter.
Whenever it was that this story broke, I couldn't remember if it happened before or after the actual tournament happened because it was supposed to be all online. That's beside. I guess that's beside the point. I guess our problem here is what do we do with what do we do with these people?
I just feel like
I'm thinking it's something we're gonna have to deal with. And now that we're out of time, I think we may have to just visit this one again. We may talk about this some more next episode, but we are out of time for this one. So
that went fast. Time flies when you're having fun, guys.
And I would go longer, but I got some things I got to do right now, and I think I don't think I'm gonna be able to game stream tonight, but I know you guys can. So
I think it's just gonna have to be Cynic and whatnot. Apparently, something's going on with my Xbox. Well, something's going on with my Xbox account.
I was actually about to bail as well because I didn't even download the game. So
okay, so we're not gonna play tonight.
What game? Well, I still have all the games set up. Do you have anything that we could do for our dear fans in the chat?
Ironically, I have Battlefront.
Hey,
just set yourself up with the right mentality. You're fine.
There's co-op mode. There's co-op mode only. We don't have to play PvP.
Do you stream? Do you stream off your PlayStation?
I can download Twitch and broadcast from there. If it's as easy as it is for the Xbox One, it shouldn't be a problem.
I've been currently occupied with other games, but we never did get a chance to play
Ghost.
Tsushima. Yeah, Ghost together.
Yes.
All right, so
I'm
hit up them on Twitch.
PlayStation Ghost of Tsushima.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks. We will game stream again next week. We'll do State of Decay 2. We're telling you guys right now, Cynic's going to host us. So you guys get State of Decay 2 ready to go.
I do love State of Decay 2. That one's ready to go. I would say, check out twitch.tv/Henzar, HENZZAR, and we'll set up some Ghost of Tsushima tonight.
All right, so that's it. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Don't forget, next week is the premiere of the Untitled show with Jill, Harley, and myself next Friday, and
next Wednesday.
Next week.
Yeah, next Wednesday is our first episode of the return of fan service for the 1 month. Because we need to actually
Which
do our 1
we're
month
actually going to
episode.
pre-film that, so that may not be Wednesday. But yes, fan service is coming back. And
Very
so we
cool.
will
Doing
game
a
stream
lot.
next week. And that's it for this week. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and